Hello everyone, this is Sam from Language Atlas, and in this video I'd like to show you the Spanish B1 vocabulary Anki deck. In this video we will go over three things. First, I'd like to show you the course structure of the Spanish B1 vocabulary Anki deck. Second, I'd like to show the course content, and I'll do so by looking at three Anki decks within the overall Spanish B1 vocabulary Anki deck. And third, I'd like to show you some brief editing options. So let's get started with the first point, which is to show the course structure. Now, before I do that, you see that there's something interesting going on over here. There are two versions of Spanish, a European Spanish one and a Latin American Spanish B1. Now, I've already double clicked on them and I've opened them. As you can see, I have them right over here. Now, it's interesting to note that I have two versions of Spanish, the Latin American one and the European Spanish one. And in terms of course structure, they're exactly the same. So I will start with showing you the structure of the Latin American Spanish B1, and then I will go to the European Spanish B1 structure. But again, I'd like to note, in terms of structure, they are exactly the same. It is in terms of content, so what's inside, the sentences, the audio, pronunciation, certain words, certain sentences, those are different. So let's begin with the structure of Latin American Spanish B1. We have 8 chapters: pronouns, conjunctions, verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, and determiners. If I click on this little icon over here in front of chapter 4, nouns, you can see that there are 20 subdecks: academia and intellect, animals, arts and entertainment, body and health, all the way to sports, hobbies and activities, time, maths and numbers, and transportation. Now, what I've done is that I've taken a look at all the different nouns within chapter 4 nouns, and I've categorized them by theme. So if you wish to learn more about clothing and fashion, you can do so. If you wish to learn more about food and drinks, you can do so. If you wish to learn more about nature and environment, you can do so, etc., etc., etc. So anytime you wish to learn a certain theme, you're able to do so. Now let's have a look at the European Spanish B1. I'll click on this plus icon, and again you can see that in terms of course structure, they're the same: pronouns, conjunctions, verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, and determiners. If I click on chapter 4 nouns, you can see we have the same subdecks. Now what I'm going to do now is that I will show you two decks from European Spanish B1. I'll look at chapter 4 nouns, home, and I'll go to chapter 5 adjectives. And within Latin American Spanish B1, I will look at chapter 3 verbs. Now again, before I proceed, I would like to say that even if you're interested in the other version of Spanish, it's still in your best interest to keep watching. That is because in terms of structure of the cards, so how things are structured, they are the same, but the actual sentences and sound and audio, that is different. But even if you're interested in the other version of Spanish, keep watching because you will learn a lot. And of course, whichever Spanish version you wish to learn is up to you, but this is a good overview of what to expect. So we click on Study Now, and we see we have the first sentence over here. We have a Spanish sentence with 2 underscores. We have the English translation of the Spanish sentence. She placed the hot pot on the stove to cook dinner. And the and pot are bolded and underlined. Now, it is your job to know how to say the pot in Spanish, and that is what goes over here. Over here, we have a visual representation of the Spanish sentence, and this is here so you can have a better understanding of the Spanish sentence. And many studies have also shown that if there is a picture there, a visual representation of the Spanish sentence, or of any other language, you're better able to remember that sentence and the words that you're aiming to learn. So this is very interesting, and in my opinion, it works as well. I understand it better, and I'm able to memorize it better as well. So what is the pot in Spanish?
Puso la olla caliente en el fuego para preparar la cena. La olla, una olla. Las ollas, unas ollas.
So let's have a look over here in the first area. This is what I like to call the sentence area. You can see that this is the correct sentence, and this is the word that we have been looking for. Now, what is interesting is that Spanish is a gendered language. So you may see that there are certain words that are masculine and certain words that are feminine. And that is why this section over here is in pink. I've color-coded the masculine and feminine nouns. So the masculine nouns are in pink, and the feminine nouns are the masculine nouns are in blue, and the feminine nouns are in pink. So whenever you see a part that is in pink, you have to understand this is a feminine noun. Whenever you see a certain part that is in blue, that is a masculine noun. So this will really help you identify the gender of nouns. Over here, we have the IPA notation. This will help you better pronounce the Spanish sentences. And over here, we have the English translation. If you click on this, we can hear the audio.
Puso la olla caliente en el fuego para preparar la cena.
This is what I like to call the singular area. So we have the singular noun both in its definite and in its indefinite form. We have the IP notation of the singular noun, and we have the translation. If you click on this, we can hear the audio again.
La olla, una olla.
Over here, we have the plural area, plural noun, IP notation of plural noun, translation, and audio.
Las ollas, unas ollas.
Great. So again, I would like to note that even if you get the Latin American Spanish version, in terms of structure, it is the same thing. We have the sentence area over here, we have the singular area over here, we have the plural area over here. IP notations are there, translations are there, Spanish is there. And again, masculine nouns are in blue, feminine nouns are in pink. Let's do another one. We have a Spanish sentence, English translation, and we have to know this shelf. And of course, we see a picture.
Ordenó sus libros en la estantería. La estantería, una estantería. Las estanterías, unas estanterías.
Wonderful. And again, we see the same setup, sentence, singular, plural. And again, the structure is the same for Latin American, but audio, pronunciation, certain words, certain sentences, they are different. She used an iron to smooth out the wrinkles in her dress. How do you say an iron?
Utilizó una plancha para alisar las arrugas de su vestido. La plancha, una plancha. Las planchas, unas planchas.
And there you go. Let's do another one. They sold me a pack of toothbrushes.
Me vendieron un paquete de cepillos de dientes. El paquete, un paquete. Los paquetes, unos paquetes.
So, what do we see? Again, same setup, sentence, singular, plural. But now we see a certain part that is in blue. Why is that? Well, the pack in Spanish is masculine, hence it is blue. And again, masculine nouns are in blue, feminine nouns are in pink. Now, that was the first card type. Now, I'd like to go to the second card type. And the second card type is a typing exercise. And I would like to go to the following one. Let's have a look to see if we can find it. I would like to show you this one. So this is a sentence that we've seen before. They sold me a pack of toothbrushes. Now we've seen it quite recently, just a few seconds ago. But the second card type is about typing. It's about spelling. Do you actually know how to spell the word correctly? Let's see what happens when I type in the word that we are looking for.
Me vendieron un paquete de cepillos de dientes. El paquete, un paquete. Los paquetes, unos paquetes.
Great. So as you can tell, if you have a word correctly, Anki shows it to you in green because you had it correct. But what if you do not know the correct answer? So now we have a sentence, she stored cookies in a metal tin to keep them fresh. How do you say a tin? Let's say we have no idea whatsoever. Let's say we just type in something like this.
Guardaba las galletas en una lata metálica para conservarlas en buen estado. La lata, una lata. Las latas, unas latas.
So you can see over here that the answer I had is only partially correct. The gender is correct. However, the second part, not at all. Underneath it, we have the correct answer. Now, what Anki does, it shows you the part that you had correct in green, the part that is incorrect in red, and what you were missing in gray. So over here, we see the correct answer. You see that we have the gender correct, but this part and this part we were missing. We didn't have it. And the T, luckily, we did have. So Anki actually helps you when it comes to spelling. If you don't know the correct answer, Anki shows you the correct answer, and this will improve how you spell things. So that was the deck of home that I wanted to show you. First card type, we have no in a blank. Second card type, actually type it. I'd like to go to chapter 5, adjectives. I'd like to go on to study now. And this is what we see. We see a Spanish sentence with a blank area. We see the English translation. And we see fancy. She wore a fancy dress to the gala event. And of course, a picture. How do you say fancy?
Llevó un vestido elegante para la gala. Elegante. Elegantes.
So, not that big of a surprise so far, I'd say. We have a sentence area, we have a singular area, we have a plural area. This is where we see the adjective in its singular form. This is where we see an adjective in its plural form. And again, the same setup exists in Latin American Spanish. However, we're going to see something interesting in quite a few seconds. The ancient ruins were of historic significance to the region. Historic.
Las antiguas ruinas tenían una gran relevancia histórica para la región. Histórico, histórica. Históricos, históricas.
And this is what I really wanted to show you. Now, I mentioned before that Spanish is a gendered language. I mentioned before that nouns are gendered, but adjectives are gendered too. So when we go to the singular area, we see that there's a singular masculine and a singular feminine. If you go to the plural area, we see there's a singular plural. Pardon me, there's a masculine plural and a feminine plural. So over here we have singular and we have singular masculine, singular feminine, and we have plural masculine, plural feminine. So we have four versions of one adjective: the singular area, the plural area, then masculine, feminine, and all four of them are important. But what's great about this deck is that you can actually study, you can actually learn what the different versions are, and you can hear what they sound like, you can see what the IPA notation is like, and this will really help you when it comes to learning all the different versions. His careless mistake cost the company valuable time.
Sus descuidados errores costaron a la empresa un tiempo valioso. Descuidado, descuidada. Descuidados, descuidadas.
And again, we see the same thing. We have the singular area, we have the plural area. This is singular masculine, singular feminine. This is plural masculine, plural feminine. It seemed unlikely that they would reach their destination on time.
Parecía poco probable que llegaran a tiempo a su destino. Improbable, poco probable. Improbables.
Great. Let's do one more. The sunshade is fixed to the ground, it cannot be moved.
La sombrilla está fija en el suelo, no se puede mover. Fijo, fija. Fijos, fijas.
And again, you see the same thing. Sentence, singular area, plural area. Now we have the singular masculine, singular feminine, and we have the plural masculine, plural feminine. So if I were to continue long enough, we would end up with the typing exercises. So you see it right over here, we'd have to type in the correct answer. However, we've already done this, so I will skip it for now. So those were two decks that I want to show you from European Spanish. Now I'd like to go to Latin American Spanish. I'm going to click on the plus icon, and I will minimize this, and I will go to chapter 3, verbs. I will click on study now, and let's see what we have over here. We have again a Spanish sentence with a blank area. We have the English translation. Feel free to comment on the blog post, and we see a picture. To comment.
No dudes en comentar la entrada del blog. Comentar.
Now, what's interesting that you may have already noticed the difference. You can hear that the audio is different. That's because we are now dealing with Latin American Spanish. The pronunciation is also a bit different. IPA notations are different. And immediately you can see that there's a difference in Spanish and European Spanish and Latin American Spanish. Now, what is the same is the structure. So this part you already know, and this part you already know. So again, structure-wise, setup-wise, they're the same. But in terms of the actual content, that is how they differ. So this part you know, sentence area. However, this part is a bit interesting, so let me tell you a bit more about that. You see here the verb to comment in its full verb, also sometimes called the infinitive. Now, all the cards in the verbs decks are in the infinitive form, so in the full verb form. To comment, comentar. Why is this so? The infinitive form is the most important form. Once you know a verb in its infinitive form, you can play with it, you can conjugate it according to different subject pronouns, according to different tenses. But the basis of everything is infinitive. Once you know the infinitive form, you can do everything. And that is what you will learn in this deck. Let's do another one. He wants to rent a cozy cabin in the mountains. To rent.
Quiere alquilar una acogedora cabaña en la montaña. Alquilar.
Great. Let's do another one. As I got older, I began to dislike tomatoes. To dislike.
A medida que me hacía mayor, me empezó a no gustar el tomate. No gustar, desagradar.
Great. Let's do another one. You must confirm your attendance by replying to the email. Confirm.
Debe confirmar su asistencia respondiendo al correo electrónico. Confirmar.
Great. The political party is beginning to note that it does not have the majority to form the government. To note.
El partido político empieza a notar que no tiene mayoría para formar gobierno. Notar, darse cuenta.
Great. Let's do one more. Take some time to reflect on your achievements and goals. To reflect.
Tómese un tiempo para reflexionar sobre sus logros y objetivos. Reflexionar.
And great. There you have it. And I could continue long enough and then I'd end up with the typing exercises. However, we have already seen that. Now, those were the decks that I wanted to show you. Now I'd like to go to my third point, which is to show you some brief editing options. Now, many people have asked me, how do you regulate how many cards you see per day? I'll show it to you now. If you click on this icon over here next to the deck, click on options, you can see there's a part called daily limits. We have new cards per day and maximum reviews per day. If you want to change the amount of new cards that you do per day, you can do so. I've increased it to 50. If you want to increase the amount of reviews that you do per day, so a card that you've already done or cards that you've already done and see them again, that's a review. You can do so as well. I've increased it to 50, and you may have already noticed that the numbers have increased. I can decrease them again to 20, and I can do so as well. My advice to you would be to pick a low number and stick to it. Language learning is all about forming a habit, and it's a lot easier to form a habit if you have an easy start, which is easier to do if you have a low number. But of course, later on, once you've established a habit, you can increase the amount of cards that you do per day. So that was it for this video. I'd like to thank you again very much for watching. Now, whichever version of Spanish you choose to learn is up to you. I've shown you both, but my advice to you is that you pick a version and stick to it. You can get the decks at languageatlas.com. Over there, you can pick whichever version of Spanish you wish to learn. I will share all the necessary information, all the important links in the description and comment section. And again, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. You can get the decks from languageatlas.com. You can pick whatever you want. In terms of structure, they're the same, but in terms of content, so the sentences used, the words used, audio, pronunciation, IPA, that is what is different. So thanks again. I wish you the best of luck when it comes to learning Spanish, and I wish you a very good day as well. Goodbye.